So Steve, how long have you been with the AMA and what's your position?
Been with AMA 12 years now. It was after 11 years at ASRC. I'm the technical director for AMA, and I also serve as the coordinator for the Electronic Technology Committee.
I know the AMA has been heavily involved in testing spread spectrum technology for, well before it's been commercially available. In fact, probably over 2 years. So far, what's AMA's position on the technology?
We have, and we've been really appreciative of Horizon and Spektrum allowing us to see the technology before they released it. All of our testing to date has been incredible. We've come up to speed as much as we can on the educating ourselves. That's allowed us to educate our members, which is really what's important in all of this. Today, though, all the bench testing and the field testing that we've done has shown that the technology really works and works very well. I think it's making model aviation, or radio control specifically, safer and more convenient for the modeler.
That's great. I know the AMA has done several informative articles on spread spectrum. I believe you and Dan Williams have authored some really interesting spread spectrum pieces that really explain to the membership kind of some of the technical aspects of what spread spectrum is about. Do you have more plans for model aviation articles regarding spread spectrum?
There are, in fact, Dan Williams, who's a member of our Electronic Technology Committee, and myself just co-authored the next series, or the next article on that. It's going to talk about where spread spectrum is going, and it also talks about the first full-range system, which is your DX7.
Spektrum provided the AMA with a prototype of the DX7 roughly 3 months prior to the release. Have you had the opportunity to fly that system, and if so, what's been your results?
I have. I've actually flown it quite a bit in both a fixed-wing aircraft and 2 different helicopters, and done extensive bench testing with it as well. Our experience has been very good with it. I feel very safe flying this system because of its ability to reject noise. The way it operates so much higher above all of the generated noise. I think the dual link system that Spektrum has in it provides that safety. It's also, like I said before, it's such a connected feeling with this particular system. It's just incredible. The range seems to be well above anybody's needs on it, so it's a very positive feeling with the system, and I actually like it quite a bit.
With the DX6 Park Flyer radio and the newly released DX7, are those radios AMA legal to fly at AMA events and at AMA clubs? And in addition, are there any restrictions?
They certainly are legal to fly at any AMA event or club flying site. The only restrictions that we'd say exist are the same ones that Spektrum as the manufacturers placed on it. In other words, the DX6 should be flown only in park-sized models. Of course, the DX7 is a full-range system and can be flown in anything.
Steve, does the AMA have any recommended guidelines for spread spectrum use at the local club level?
We really only have one, and that is that to keep our members in the habit of, when they go back to their 72 megahertz systems, we're recommending right now that clubs go ahead and establish a group of pins for spread spectrum systems. And this isn't for frequency control. It's just to keep the members in the habit of picking up a pin when they go back to their 72 megahertz systems. Other than that, no, we see no need for anything else. That seems to work the best.
With the growing popularity of events like IRCHA and like Joe Null that had well over 500 pilots this year, and of course, there's events almost every weekend somewhere across the country, how do you think that this spread spectrum technology will affect events like that?
I think it's going to be a major boon to these events, and the reason is really twofold. One is obviously those flying on spread spectrum systems or flying with spread spectrum systems don't have to worry about frequency control, don't have to stand in line to get a particular channel or anything. Secondly, it's going to also help free up the 72 megahertz band, because the more people flying on spread spectrum, the freer that 72 megahertz band is going to be. So it's going to be a win-win situation on both sides of the fence. Plus, I really think it goes into the safety aspect as well. The impound's not going to be as busy. They're going to be able to monitor the 72 megahertz frequencies better, and I think that'll be a major help to it all.
So at various events, pylon races, for example, or even mega events like IRCHA, Joe Null, the events that have hundreds of pilots. Do you foresee a need in the future for spread spectrum equipment to be checked into impound?
There's really not going to be any requirement for them to or any need for them to. However, some contest directors and event directors may still want to do that mostly to maintain a sterile flight line so that they can walk the flight line, not see any transmitters out, and realize that everything's okay, if you will. From AMA's standpoint, though, there's no need to impound the transmitters if they're on spread spectrum.
Oh, that's interesting. And what about frequency clips? Our typical club guys are used to getting their clip, and it's almost a religion. Put your clip on your transmitter. What do you foresee happening with frequency clips regarding spread spectrum technology?
Really no need to do that. As I mentioned before, though, some clubs, some events may want to continue to use pins for the spread spectrum system, just more as a matter of flight line control and to keep their members in that habit of taking a pin when they're still using 72 megahertz. But from a spread spectrum standpoint, there's no real need to do it.
So, Steve, we introduced the DX6 almost a year ago, and one of the frequently asked questions we get regarding AMA operations is related to insurance. People are frequently asking, is there anything that I need to be concerned with when using the DX6? Or, in fact, I'm sure we're going to get the same question with the DX7. Are there any specific insurance issues regarding AMA insurance with either of these two radios?
No, not really. The only issue we've been dealing with the last year or so after the release of the first system, the DX6, was people trying to put that system in larger aircraft than you originally intended it for. Fortunately, it hasn't caused any problems or accidents, but of course, had one accident happened or something like that, it could have been a bad situation. Obviously, our answer to those members is to use the radio as it was intended by the manufacturer, and that should be in park-size aircraft. Of course, with now the release of the DX7 and being a full-range system, I expect all of those problems or potential problems are going to go away.
So spread spectrum is a totally new and somewhat foreign technology for radio control modelers. And of course, a lot of these guys have been modeling a long time. They're pretty darn set in their ways. Do you have any particular things that you think is important that modelers at the local field need to know about spread spectrum?
It is very new, and it's been an educational curve for us, if you will, and thereby to our members, trying to educate them on how to use spread spectrum, or basically that there aren't any issues with it. As I mentioned before, one of the bigger issues that we've had is using the original system, the DX6, in aircraft larger than it was originally intended for. And that has been an educational process for us to explain to the membership why it's not appropriate to use that system in those. As you know, we can probably go out and fly that system to 3,000 feet 9 times out of 10 with no problem. But the one time that they put it in a larger model and get it up into a torque roll and that big can muffler blocks the signal to the receiver, that's where we could see the problem. And obviously we're trying to keep our members from doing that. Once again, now with the release of your full range system, I think those problems are probably going to go away. And we've been real fortunate that nothing's happened. I mean, that's a real testament to the current system that's out there and how well it works. So it's really all we've had to deal with so far.
So Steve, is there anything else you'd like to tell the AMA membership specifically about spread spectrum technology?
You know, this is a really exciting time especially for the radio control modeler with the new technology that's out there. So I've mentioned a couple of times so far, use the technology as it's intended to be used by the manufacturer. Currently, Spektrum is the only one with the system out there. Other manufacturers are certainly going to come online with them, and they may have restrictions, and we encourage our members to follow those and abide by those restrictions. Other than that, fly safely and above all, have fun.
That pretty much says it all. We really appreciate AMA's support with spread spectrum, and also we sure appreciate the fact that you allow us to come over and intrude on your space and your time. What a fantastic facility. Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure.
Thanks for being here, John.